What inspired you to write this book?
It really was an inspiration from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
To share my story.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it started out as a courage project, a healing project in my time of getting into sobriety. It was the COVID time, and I had just left a 3.5-year stint on the streets. I was homeless on the streets of Kampala. So
wait, for 3 years?
3.5 years, yes. And so I had just been put in a house, and so this was now my journey to what began my journey to freedom from alcohol addiction. I had my first abortion in second year. The father was not interested at all, but at this point I had now become so used to bad decisions. It didn't faze me. I said, whether he accepts it or not, I'm going to remove it and go and drink. And so it broke my heart. Just the look in his eye just broke my heart. So I went to my room and I cried my eyes out. I cried, but I didn't want to keep feeling that. And so I just packed. I didn't even carry anything. I didn't. I just walked out of the house and I went to a friend's house and I stayed there for a whole week. And we were just drinking the entire time. You know, those are the friends that you have. People who you tell, I have this problem, and they have only one remedy. They just give you a bottle and cigarettes. Yes.
Yeah.
But of course, at the end of the 7 days, of course you can't run away forever. Yeah. Even your friends get tired. Yeah. And eventually my friend told me, in Uganda it sounds funnier. It sounds funnier in Uganda. It told me, Genda ikaba kulabeko, which means go home and they see you. You give me beauty for these ashes, peace that surpasses all understanding.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So eventually I came home, and I mean, they had already come up with a solution. They were taking me to Nairobi. I love Nairobi. I because my dad used to work in Nairobi. Yeah. So Nairobi was, I loved Nairobi.
You had come to Nairobi before that decision was made?
Yes, because dad used to work here. Yeah. So I would come for holidays.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I loved Nairobi. Nairobi is where I fell in love with reggae. Nairobi is where I fell in love with radio. Nairobi has always been like home to me. I love Nairobi. But now this time I was coming to Nairobi not on happy terms. Yeah. So they put me on a bus and brought me here. And basically I was told they were going to put me in a school, you know, find out, see if I can get some kind of institute to get something to do. Yeah. They put me in a convent, Rozitta. Wow. Convent. Wow. With sisters.
Wow.
Yeah.
They got you.
Character development.
They got you.
But that is an experience that I will urge the viewer to read in my book, because a lot happened in that time. Yeah. Let's just say I was the first person to be let go by that convent in history.
Yeah. Meaning you are still naughty even.
Of course, because can I tell you? You see, even if an addicted mind changes locations,
yeah, it's still addicted.
It's the same, exactly. Wow. Even if you remove them from this thing called alcohol, not even just alcohol, but substance abuse. It's a mindset issue. Alcohol, cigarettes, pornography, I don't know, betting, sports betting, all these are symptoms of a mind issue. They are just symptoms of an issue with the mind. Even when I went to the convent, I was in the convent for about a month or so without drinking. Yeah. I was functioning normally, but something happened along the way, what you call withdrawal. Withdrawal is the period of time you take without a substance. Yeah. And so something happens to the mind when it's accustomed to dysfunction. It cannot comprehend clarity when it comes. And so one day my mind was too clear. Basically, I was too sober. I had a mental breakdown. What? Yeah. So eventually, after the mental breakdown was my mind fighting me and telling me, I need substance. I need something. And how my body read it is, this is a stressful situation. And the thing about substance use is that, well, studies have shown that there are two common causes of substance addiction. The first one is peer pressure. The second one is coping with stress. It's a stress coping mechanism. So the minute the mind
is feeling stressed,
the minute it interprets a situation as stressful, it's going to look for familiar chaos.
Yes.
Immediately, it doesn't matter what that situation is. As long as that red alarm goes off of I'm stressed, you will do anything and everything, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Long story short, here I was able to find cigarettes with them in the convent. Yeah, let's just say they let me go. And now they put me on a bus back to Kampala, and my father looked at me and said, he really was lost for what to do. And looking back, I understand, because this is a man who had done everything he could.
Yeah.
This is a man who had lost his wife to alcohol abuse.
Yeah. And
now
there is
it's
his daughter.
happening to his daughter.
Oh.
You really don't know what to do. And this is something that happens in our society today. People don't know how to deal with people whose minds have been rewired to addiction or alcohol abuse. They don't know, is it a disease? Is it a phase? Some people tell you it's witchcraft. People don't know what it is. There's just not enough information out there about what is people don't understand.
Yes.
They just say that one over drinks, we don't know what to do with it. Even you overeat. You understand? It's a mind problem. But do we have enough information, or are we able to actually calm down and understand what is the root cause of this thing? And so it was a very stressful time. This was now 2014. Now it's just my father and I in the house.
Your brother was where?
My brother is grown now. He's living his life. He's working. He's engineer. He's me, I'm there, the black sheep of the family. And they can't even carry me to family events. Even me myself, I can't go because I'm ashamed. I had heard of family members saying, "Look at that one. That's her mother's daughter." I had heard it.
Like mother, like
exactly.
daughter.
So people had started saying that. So it also that kind of made me recline. I didn't want to be near family events. Whenever I would be told that, hey, there's this and this event on Sunday, I would find an excuse. I would say I have something on Sunday. Or find, even if it was going to a random place during the day, and I just sit and drink, as long as I haven't gone into a space that has family. So because it was a shaming, this is a girl, the father. First of all, my father was now in a place where even he was ashamed. Do you understand? Because he felt like he had failed as a parent. He's in a place he feels he has failed as a husband. He has failed as a parent. Do you understand? So he's feeling that kind of shame as well. And also me on my part, there was a feeling of shame.
Yes.
So the house was a very stressful place. We would pass ourselves in the house like this. We wouldn't speak to each other. It was so strange. So my father told me, you're back here, but don't expect anything from me. Because he knew if he gives me money, he's going to be an enabler. So he said, don't expect anything from me. You better find your way. So basically what he was doing was trying to put me in shape, to let me know that, you know what, if my character doesn't change, nothing. I said, if me in my mind, I was like, I think I can make it in this Kampala. I went, I hustled, I found a job. That was the time when digital marketing had just come up in Kampala. So I was a good writer. I had my social media platforms, Facebook. I had a good following. And so by then there were no you have to have a certain certificate in this and this that you need to gauge what a social media. Someone who's going to handle Facebook and Twitter for a company. Like, how do you gauge? So they gauged my copywriting skills, basically writing. And so my first job was I was a senior copywriter for an advertising agency. And it was a lot of money. Rozitta,
please don't tell me you are drinking all of it.
What do you expect, Rozitta? It was a lot of money. It was about 40,000 Kenya shillings.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money for somebody who has no responsibilities. And so, of course, I began to drink. Rozitta, of course I began to drink. And so the first job, it was going well. It was going well, but of course eventually, money doesn't change things, it just reveals. Money is a tool, it just reveals who you are,
the true character of a person.
So me who was employee, very nice employee, in a month I started coming to work late. I would come to work smelling like alcohol. Sometimes I would be in the bar until the next day and then just go to work. No, that it was a very normal thing. Yeah. And then I would come to work.
Yeah.
Whether I'm smelling alcohol or not, that's their problem. I'm still drunk. You know, when you're drunk, you're not in your right state. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
You're like, me, I've come to work.
Yeah.
What,
As
you
long
ask
as
me,
I'll do my part.
I've come to do my part.
Oh no.
So, you know, first of all, the bar and work had become escapes from home.
Yeah, because you never wanted to go back to your father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now at work, my boss called me. And she told me. So she told me one of the clients had told her that I came to work. I went for a meeting smelling like a brewery. So now I read that as an attack.
Yeah.
You know, this is a place that's supposed to be my safe haven for me. So now I'm also being attacked here. Am I the only one who drinks? Everyone drinks. Why are they only attacking me? So now I started finding solace in the bar.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was a very hectic time. And then I remember one time I was at my desk and I had another mental breakdown. What had happened at the convent. But this time, it wasn't because of clarity. It was now just a sense of overwhelm.
Yeah, because of work?
Not just work, but you're getting pressure from home.
Yeah.
You're getting pressure from
work
as well, you know. And also, you know how at work they tell you, we are one big happy family. And then your boss comes and tells you, even your workmates are complaining about you.
Yeah.
I'm like, and these are the people that I hang with every day. But I also sit with some of them in the bar. So, you know, I just felt so attacked and so overwhelmed. So I had a nervous breakdown. And the HR came running to me. So I just broke out in tears on my desk. And the HR came to me and told me, okay, you know, just take all the time off that you need. You can, if you need your job back, it's here available for you. But just go home, take all the time you need. Now, I'm being told to leave work and to go home. We know where there's fire. Do you understand? So I accepted, but I went home, but I was never home because now my father was going to ask me questions. Why aren't you at work already? Do you understand? Like, it was just so much. And also, by the time this happened, I had now started accumulating debts because whenever they would pay us, in like 2 days that money would be done. I was either spending it at the bar, buying people alcohol, or just go and buy things like clothes. I had no sense of financial discipline. Long story short, I basically fired myself from that job. They would call me, I wouldn't answer. I have no money to take care of myself. Eventually, I sold even this personal phone that I had. So my father kept asking me, why aren't you going back to work? I kept telling him, I'm on leave. But of course, you can only be on leave for so long. So I was escaping from home. I would find every reason to leave home. I would leave home like in the morning at 8, go find a place and just sit and drink, you know, until evening, come home, just so I could be away from the fire. Understand? So long story short, by God's grace, I found another job. I'm also in an agency, advertising agency. And you know, it really was a good job because they were offering me actually much more than the agency. And so I said, Che, this is another opportunity.
It's a second chance.
And things were going well. 3 months in, it was good because now the clients I was dealing with were much more, you know, dignified, very huge names. And so I was like, this is a serious thing. But of course, the stress that is around you is still there. And so the drinking just, I think, amplified. It just became more. And so the same things that they're complaining about at my workplace began resurfacing here. A client called us and told us, you went for a meeting smelling like a brewery. People in the office are complaining, you know, your work is not even good anymore. What's happening? So for me, it was just attack after attack after attack. And so I just started drinking more and more and more and more. One night, there was an incident that happened at home. My father was not impressed. He was not amused. And he came home. He barged into my room early in the morning. I remember I was actually still drunk. I had just come into the house and I was asleep. And he barged into my room and, you know, he had a rant. He was so angry. I had never seen my dad that angry in my life. He said very many things, you know, your life is a waste. There's nothing to write home about you. You know, he said, you're your mother's daughter. He said, one day they're going to call me to identify your body in a trench or in a morgue. He said a lot of hurtful things. And at the end of it, he said, when I come back from where I'm coming from, I don't find you here. I asked myself and I said, maybe Okay, I understand the other things he said, but maybe I didn't understand the last part. Like, he's chasing me from his house. Like, where else? I don't know where else in life except the four walls of my father's home. Like, what? So me, I went about my day. I slept. I woke up. I got food. I was going around the house. Later on, the maid called me and told me, "Hi, Daddy has called me and has asked me whether you're still here." So I'm like, this guy is actually serious. And so it hit me that my dad is kicking me out of his house.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I packed up the things that I could. I packed up a few my academic papers. I packed up, I think, my passport. I packed up a few photos of my mom, few childhood photos, and some clothes. And I went to office. And I began living in office for a month.
There was no issue with that?
Of course there were issues.
How did you solve it?
As I said, necessity will make you do everything that you need. I happened to get the key from the lady who's like the steward. Yeah, she was a good friend of mine. So one time I asked her, I told her, of course, at first I didn't know how to go about it. So as soon as it would clock 5, I would go to the bar. Bars in Kampala close even at 7 a.m. or even 10 a.m. So I would be at the bar the whole night. Then at 6 in the morning, I would make my way to the workplace. You know, get some clothes, freshen up. We had nice bathrooms. I would freshen up, change. So she would give me the key. One time I told her, you know what, I'm working late, leave me with the key, you'll find me here in the morning. So one day she left me with the key. She came back the next day. I think she came at like 6:45 a.m. She found me. She was like, "Hey, you came early." I said, "Yeah." So she began trusting me with the key. I started asking her for it frequently, and I told her, "You know what? I'm working on a few things, on a few projects. Just leave me with the key because I'm going to be first one here and last one here." She said, "Okay." So I would have that key. Of course, that couldn't last for too long. The HR told me, "Che, you can't stay here," and I said, she told me, you need to get your stuff together. You can't live in office." I told her, "I'm not living in office." She said, "Che, this is a high security building with CCTV camera. And if you're not careful, the bosses are going to find out." So eventually a friend of mine hit me up and told me I'm looking for a housemate. So eventually I moved in with him. But it was like frying pan into the fire, because now this is, you know, he was into the nightlife, if you know what I mean. And so it really was just fueling what already was happening on my end, you know. So a few months later, I had another depressive episode, because one day I woke up and it hit me. It had now been I don't know how many months, and I was like, my father's never even checked on me. Like, does he even know where I'm living? Does he know? You know, it really broke my heart. It's like, am I really this useless? Like, I know I've messed up, but is it really that bad? And you know, I was just so depressed. All I could do was drink. I wasn't even eating. I was just drinking and smoking. Eventually my workplace called. They said, "You know what, if the boss wants to see you." I fired myself from that job. I gave them the equipment. I went home for the rest. I never went back. So basically I was just home. I'm not being paid. I have no money. I can't pay rent. So now I became a liability to my housemate. And 4 months went by without paying rent, and eventually he just said, "You know what, just don't even worry about paying the rent. Just get up and go."
What?
And you know, back the other time I had a workplace where I could, you know, figure out and say, let me see how I can maneuver. Here I had nowhere to go. And so from July 2016 to Feb 2020, I was homeless in the streets of Kampala.
Homeless, literally you're sleeping?
Yeah, I was sleeping on verandas of malls. I was sleeping in bars. I was sleeping in wherever, taxi stages, border stages.
Didn't you ever fear for your safety?
There's nothing to fear when you're drunk 24/7.
Oh, you kept drinking.
You have to drink when you're exposed to terrors of the night. You have to be drunk. If you meet women on the street in the middle of the night, they can't be sober. The street, the things that you meet on the street in the night, you can't be sober to deal with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 2020 February, now it's a season where you're getting out of that homelessness and all that. What made you like find a breakthrough?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. A few months before that, my brother, the eldest, had passed away. He passed away from alcohol-related complications. He had a cardiac arrest in the UK.
Oh.
So, we had to bury him and all that. But I did attend the burial. I had no money to get there, so I sat in a bar and I just drank. I didn't bury my own brother. So I had also had an incident where my leg was sliced open. My right leg was sliced open, and I was drunk.
So like it was an accident.
Yeah, I sliced my leg on a table at someone's house. Yeah, I have the scar here.
Oh my God.
If anyone is interested in seeing.
That's a deep scar.
No, it looks pretty.
Yeah?
It looks, yeah.
Wow.
It was a very interesting incident. I write about the entire thing in the book.
Yeah.
So, I remember I was seated somewhere and my brother located me. My eldest brother.
Yeah.
And he told me that the Uganda National Roads Authority had released some money to our family because they wanted to construct a road where
your house was?
The house where my mom is buried. She was buried at her ancestral home.
Yes.
So the house where she was buried was in the way of where they wanted to construct a bypass. So what happens in such a situation is they compensate the families or the children of the people who are buried there so that they can, to facilitate the relocation of the remains.
Yeah. And
so the money was released and it was, my share was transferred to my brother's account. And so he located me in a bus somewhere. Because at this point, I was a literal street urchin.
Yeah.
I had lost so much weight, you couldn't recognize me. I had lost so much weight. I was even a cripple. Like if you met me, a lot of my friends at this point, this was now a point where family had disowned me, friends had given up on me. I was a literal nuisance to society. All I did was, I was like a mad woman on the street. First of all, I had natural hair. You know natural hair when it's not kept for more than 2 weeks. Now it's 3.5 years. So I'm walking. If you met me on the street, it's either I had alcohol in my hand, like a sachet in my hand, or a cigarette. I didn't care. This was just me walking. So my brother finds me in a bar and he tells me that the money has been released. And he tells me, first order of business, if I want the money, I have to go to his workplace, and that's where I withdraw it from. So first order of business was he got me a broker, and we went and found a house. It was like a bed sitter, but even smaller. But it was basically a situation of you start with this, like have a place where you can have a roof over your head and you can, recuperate, like get your mind in order. So I got the place. My brother got the money. He paid it to the landlord, and they put me in. I got basics. Listen. I hear people saying they're minimalists. I was literally in that house. All I had was a mattress, a blanket, a pillow, an extension cable, and my phone.
That's all.
And a bulb.
And it was so much better than being on the street.
It was me. I was peaceful. I was so peaceful. That is, in that situation, no bed sheets. Please, there were no bed sheets. It was just a blanket, a mattress, no bed. Blanket, mattress on the ground. And that's where I started. Now, of course, I have a place I can call home. Never underestimate the power of a roof over your head. It gives you a sense of rest.
Yes.
You understand?
True.
It gives you a sense of security. When you're on the streets, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. Anxiety, that's a spirit of fear. You're afraid anything can kill you at that time. People on the streets die from weird things. And so I was getting that sense of peace and security. My mind was now coming in order. Now I was starting of thinking of organizing my resume again so I can apply for jobs. I tried to have a job on the street. I couldn't. You can't go to work smelling like the night before. You can't go to work. It's just, you can't. And so never underestimate the power of a roof over someone's head. And so I started to organize myself, my resume. I was applying for jobs. I got callbacks. This was Feb 2020. I got callbacks. Now, something I hadn't mentioned, I'm a reggae dancehall DJ. I had been a DJ for about 10 years.
10?
Yeah, for a long time. From campus, actually. Yeah, it started out as a joke, but then I kind of like just grew into it, especially the time when I was on the streets. That's one of the ways I would survive, and also find excuses to be in the bar for random amounts of time. I would offer to play music, and also they would give the bar owners don't like paying DJs, but they would offer me like 4 beers and a plate of chips. That for me is heaven. Do you know how long it would take for me to see food? So for me that was good. And so at this time I had now become serious about my DJing. So I was getting into taking professional photos and all this. My resume and all this. It was working out. You know, I was getting booked to get into places. Now I looked nice. You know, I had my hair done, I had makeup. You know, I was starting to put on some weight because now I could eat some food. You know. And it was opening up. Unfortunately in March of 2020, that's when the pandemic hit. So all these jobs that I was getting callbacks for were halted.
Oh my God.
The bars were closed. So my DJ name was Mad Michelle. So Mad Michelle was put to rest.
Wow.
Now we are back to
0 again.
Just me and my mattress and my phone. With nothing but just hearing every day so and so has died. I don't know, in Spain these people are dying, there's no cure, people are dropping like flies. There was just so much uncertainty, you know. And I was like, for me it was like I had just tasted a glimmer of hope that my life is opening up for me,
and then it had been taken away.
So I became stressed now. First of all, the money that I had, I drank it, I blew it in bars. The remainder of the money that they had given me, I blew it in bars. So now I had no money. And at least I had paid for the rent, but now I had no money and I had no alcohol. The worst thing, it's okay to not have money. I had no alcohol because the shops couldn't stock alcohol, you know. That was the worst time. The worst time is not when you're on the streets with access to alcohol. The worst time is when you do not have the alcohol, because that was a battle of the mind. That was when God started working on me. Wow.
God found you.
God found me and forcefully. You know me, I'm so thankful for COVID. I'm so thankful for that pandemic because, to be honest, with everything that happened in the 3.5 years, I had about 5 life-threatening incidents. One which involved me waking up and a man was strangling me. Very many things happened. If I had stayed on the street, there would be no Che today. Even people who know me and hear my story, they know. I have witnesses. They say, Che has no business being alive. I have no business being alive because the streets had no intention of letting me live.
My God.
Every day that I saw the sunrise, I was grateful. Every day I saw the sunrise, I was grateful. Because the terrors of the night are so many. And so this was when God began to deal with me seriously. And that was when the battle of the mind began. There was no alcohol, but the mind was craving alcohol. I was having lucid dreams. I was crying day in, day out, because now I was now having that moment of clarity. This is the time when I said in 2020 is when I grieved my mom, because now
it hit you.
It hit me. My mom is not here. What would mom think about my life now? Because growing up all my life, there's not even one moment where my mom encouraged me to drink. So here I am thinking, you know, I've let down my family, I've let down friends. I've done like 15 years of my life have literally gone by and I've done nothing with myself. Most of my friends, I started to think about my friends are now at work, you know, my friends are married, people have started families. I just began to cry. Like that's all I could do in that room, Rozitta. I would cry, then cry myself to sleep. I wake up, even if it's 3 a.m, I just begin to cry because there's this sense of overwhelm. You can't escape. You know, alcohol is a form of escapism. I had no escape. It was literally me and my thoughts and my life. My life was before me like this. This is how people come to a point of hopelessness, because that is the last road before someone actually gives up. In that moment, I understood what it feels like to be suicidal and feel like there is nothing more for me to do in life. And that is when God was dealing with me. It was in that point that God wanted me to see the light. It's in that point, because I kid you not, if I didn't even have just that small hope of God to hold on to, I would have called it quits. I would have said there was nothing more to live for. You understand? And so it was in that time that a friend of mine reached out and, you know, and very God sent, I can say, and, you know, was asking me, Che, how are you? It's been years. She's a lady who used to own a bar, who I used to party with, but now she had gotten saved. She was born again and working at a radio station, Christian radio station. So she asked me, how are you? You know, she said, you know, these are very hard times and all that. But, you know, God is always there for you. And she introduced me to the radio station and I began to listen to it. You know, prayers and all this. A lot had to happen for me to actually surrender and say I need God.
I can imagine.
A lot
after
had to
15
happen.
years of bondage.
A lot had to happen, even in that small room.
Yes.
A lot had to happen for me to surrender to God. I was waking up sleepwalking.
What?
I was opening the door in the middle of the night to get out. I was looking for I was sleepwalking, looking for matchboxes to smoke. I had no cigarettes, I had no alcohol in the house. So it was a mental battle. And I just began to cry. And I said, God, this feeling, whatever this feeling is, remove it from me. And the worst battlefield is the mind, because you can't walk away from it. You carry it with you everywhere you go. You can't say, okay, let me go to the bathroom for a break. No, it's going to follow you. So how long you are in that place depends on how quickly you end the fight. And some people sadly end the fight quicker in the way that's easier for them to take out, which is very sad. And so this was when I had to become a fighter. I had to fight. It was either me or my thoughts. Either me or my thoughts. And so I had to surrender to God. It was in that time, that was now rock bottom. Rock bottom was in the streets. That was rock bottom. That was the time when God showed me. It got me to a place where I couldn't go forward, couldn't go left, I couldn't go right, I couldn't go behind. I was literally rock bottom. And I keep saying rock bottom is the place where God wants to show you that He's the rock.
Oh, deep.
I couldn't do anything. I just sat down and I literally cried to God, and I said, God, whatever this is, remove it from me. Because as much as you have suicidal thoughts, it's not easy killing yourself. I'm not downplaying anyone who has a relative who has committed suicide, because it is literally human behavior to self-preserve. Every decision you make is to preserve yourself. So by the time somebody decides to take their life, that is an extreme.
It's a bad place.
It's a very bad place, and I have tasted. Ooh, that is a very dangerous place. And so by God's grace, all I can say is it's by God's grace that I'm here. If the streets were not going to end me, I was going to end myself. But it's literally by God's
Jesus
grace that
said
I'm here.
no.
His mercy said no.
What?
He said, I have too many plans for you.
Wow.
Even if you try what? If you read the book, there's so many life incidents. There are incidents I should not have survived. It was literally God. And so I do not take what God did for me lightly at all. Which is why I'm very free with sharing my story. Which is why I'm very free with inspiring people, because sometimes people just need to know that there's hope. People just need hope. That's it. Because life circumstances make us lose hope. So we have to become merchants of hope. We have to go, those of us who have been there, even if you haven't been through what they've been through. Maybe you've been through something else, but in that situation you found hope. What people need is hope.
True.
Otherwise they resort to other things which eventually lead to death. There's a verse in the book of Proverbs that says there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end leads to death.
It's death.
You know, there's so many things that are being celebrated in the world today. Benefits of bondage. You know. But in the long term, they have no purpose, not temporary purpose, not eternal purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so from that time, that's where my turnaround came. I made the resolve to fight.
Yeah.
I made the resolve to stop drinking. Well, I had no choice anyway. So basically what I did was God put me in a rehabilitation process.
Wow.
If I had the opportunity to go to a rehab center, I would have. People need to understand rehabilitation is not a place, it's a process.
It's a process.
Rehabilitation is restoring something
Yes.
to its default state before it was damaged or before it was altered.
Yes.
So what that is my mindset had to be renewed to a place where I did not need to depend on substances in order to process what my past was, to process things. Because in that time I was hit by condemnation. I started to think about the abortions that happened. I had a second abortion in 2018. This one almost took my life. There was just a lot of condemnation. Relationships that I had gotten into that had damaged me, that things that just were not good for me. And so I had to come to a place where these things had no power over me. And I only found that in God's love.
Wow. God's love.
God's love. The unconditional love of God. I had to forgive, firstly, myself.
Yeah.
Firstly, those who had hurt me. And also come to terms with the fact that even I wasn't the best daughter. I wasn't the best of friend.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best family member.
Yeah.
And so I had to come to terms with the fact that I had done some things, because you don't get to decide how your actions affect people.
True.
So you have to come to terms with that as well. It's a process.
I can
Tears
imagine.
have to be shed.
Yeah.
Wounds have to be
Lot
opened.
of pain.
But it has to. It just has to be done. That is the uncomfortable beginning to the road to healing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, of course, all this in tune with developing a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
That is actually what helped me stay free. Because the fact is, I was able to get free. I was able to stop drinking. I was able to stop smoking.
Wow.
I was able. Not that it was by my own power.
Yeah.
First of all, the pandemic played a very big role. I had no access to them.
Yeah.
Secondly, just it not being there. Yeah. But when it comes to staying free,
staying free, yeah.
There's a difference between getting free and staying free.
Yeah.
What helped me stay free was developing that relationship with God. That is what drove my thought process. That is what drove the decisions that I made. That even when I had a bad day or when a stressful situation arose, I didn't have to run to familiar caves. I understood that, you know what, I don't have to be hard on myself.
Wow.
Why should I? Condemnation happens when we hold on to things that God has let go of.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's about surrendering everything to God. Allowing God to start a new life for you. And that's how, slowly by slowly, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, you know.
Yeah.
That's and actually I love the fact that your channel is called Beautiful Ashes.
Yes.
Because God doesn't beautify beautiful things.
He beautifies the ashes.
Exactly. It gets ugly things, and you know,
God.
it's those things that are the past that you're so bitter about. It is the things that you're so ashamed about that God wants to bring to the top and tell you, you know what,
God.
I want to polish this thing.
Yes.
And I want you to see what I can do with it. And so in that moment, I began to take active steps in having to change my thought process. Of course, the cravings came. But I had to find an appropriate response to them. So I had to distract myself. You have to play an active role in this. When the cravings come, distract yourself. Look for water, drink water. If possible, have gum in the house. Get gum and start chewing it. Get music and start listening. Distract yourself. Eventually, when the thoughts come, your mind will be adjusted to how to deal with them. And so that's how I started writing Woman Fire Grace. I wrote Woman Fire Grace on my phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think your parents were very intentional when they called you Chisache.
My mother gave me that name.
God's grace.
Yes.
And we can clearly see the grace of God upon your life. I can't imagine going through such a long time of bondage and all the pain, the abortions, the addictions.
Yeah.
And here you are. You look so amazing. You're inspiring people.
Thank you so much.
You are influential. And you're an author
Yeah.
who is speaking to the hearts of people. You're changing lives out here with your story. That to me sounds like perfect beauty.
Amen.
For ashes.
Amen.
My God, I am so inspired by your story, and I know our viewers are very inspired. So maybe there's somebody who is watching us and they're going through something. It could be different, it could be similar to your story. What is the one thing you'd like to tell them to give them strength to press on? Yeah.
There's nothing in this life that you cannot come out of.
Impossible is nothing.
Impossible is nothing. With man, things are
impossible.
With God,
they are all possible.
Things are possible.
Yes.
If you find yourself in a situation where you have no self-worth, where you feel like you have no purpose, where you have no value, know that if you're not dead, God's not done. However much you try and say, you know what, my life is worthless, however, you know your situation just seems helpless.
Yeah.
If you're not dead,
God is not done.
God is not done.
Wow.
Everyone was ordained with a purpose. And it's not your purpose, it's God's purpose. It might not make sense to you now. It might not make sense to your family members.
Yeah.
But there's something that God wants to do in you if you just let Him. And for me, the greatest thing that I can ever let someone pursue is a personal relationship with Jesus. That's it.
Amazing.
A personal relationship with Jesus. Because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Preach.
And when you know the truth will set you free.
Yes.
There is no prison, there is no cage, there is nothing that is holding you that the truth cannot set you free from.
Wow.
And so I always implore people, before you know, we live in a world where people are always looking for solutions from the outside in.
Yeah.
People want to get free, people don't want to stay free.
Yeah.
You know? People are looking for, you know, people, as human beings, we are spirit, soul, and body.
Yes.
We are spirit, soul, which is mind, will, and emotions, and the body. But if you really want true work to be done, it has to start from the spirit. That is where developing a relationship with God comes from.
Wow.
From that part. From there, it emanates to your will, to your thoughts, and your emotions.
Yes.
From there, everything that you're trying to achieve outwardly will be achieved. And so find Jesus.
Amen.
Find Jesus. Jesus is the way,
the truth,
and the life.
Wow. What a blessing. I feel like I just want to keep listening to you. You're blessed. Makyeli, you're so blessed. And I'm so honored that I had the opportunity to host you, to listen to this story.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much. So where can people get this book, Woman Fire Grace?
Well, you can buy it in Uganda. It's available at Makyeli Books.
You can just let them know.
Oh, yeah. Woman Fire Grace is available at Makyeli Books. It's an online bookstore. At their website, you can order and they will deliver to you wherever. Also, here in Kenya, it's available at Nuria Bookstore. You can order online and they will deliver to you wherever you are. It's also available on Amazon for paperback and Kindle as well.
Amazing. Can people follow you on social media?
Yes. Wow. Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Rebecca Makyeli, author and speaker. Twitter at Che Makyeli. That's at KYEMAKYELI. Instagram at KYE full stop MAKYELI. That's at Che full stop Makyeli on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Makyeli.
Thank
I'm
you
blessed.
Thank you.
It was such a pleasure having you on this set. I'm really blessed personally, and I pray that God is going to continue elevating you and using you to speak to the hearts of people, to transform and inspire them as well.
Amen.
I look forward to celebrating more wins and seeing how far God is going to take you.
Amen.
And I really pray that God lifts you up totally.
Amen.
Asante
Hallelujah.
sana. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of this very long episode, but I believe it was worth every minute. I know you have been helped. I know you have been inspired. And if you have, please be sure to let us know in the comments section. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed, and also follow us if you're listening on our podcast platforms. And we are going to really appreciate. Like this video and remember to share it with a friend. I was your host, Rozitta, and my guest, Rebecca Kisachi. Have I said that? Shisache Makyeli, tongue twister. Until next time, goodbye, and may the Lord bless you with beauty for all your ashes.